It's an At the Office edition of the East Bank Sports Show, serving up the hottest sports takes from right here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Eric.
Ooh, boy. Cleveland. Welcome into the office, the podcast where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Noah, and I'm joined with my singular, only co-host, John. And you can join us at the office too. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or text the show 216-250-1411. John, no Eric, just John. How we doing tonight?
I'm doing well, my man. Caught some volleyball with the girls, watching the MLB playoffs as we speak on the side monitor over here. Looking forward to the series with the Tigers we got coming up, but it's Wednesday night. Hump day's over. We're halfway there. I'm feeling good, brother. How about you?
I'm not bad. It is Paycheck Thursday for me because I am a Huntington member coming up tomorrow. So I'm feeling good. The bank account is dwindled down a little bit with, the end of month bills and the start of the new month, So I'm feeling good because I'm going to be having some money in my bank account to then go out and enjoy the town on a fine Saturday for some playoff baseball against that team up north. Yeah, I'm calling them that team up north right now. That's where I am at. Right. I was cheering for them at one point, just because I didn't want to see the Twins in because I hate their fan base. I've said it on the shows multiple times. But now it's war. And I'll take our war, baseball reference, over their war any day of the week. Guards in 3. Let's go, baby. No,
I'm excited too. I'm really glad the Astros didn't win. Ever since the cheating thing, I've always been like, screw those guys. The only person in Houston I ever rooted for is Michael Brantley. I couldn't turn against him, but everybody else can kiss my ass.
Yeah, I'm with you on that with the cheating and everything. And I'm happy to play a division rival. We did win that series. Me and Matt talked about this on Monday. I also wrote an article on Fans First Sports if y'all want to go check that out on the website, breaking down the whole side of the Tigers and the Astros at the time of who we would want to play better. Obviously, it was the Tigers seeding-wise and all of that. But 7-6 on the regular season against the Guardians. I'm really, really excited to see this series. I'm ready to see Bibee on the mound, throwing gas, striking people out, winning us some baseball games.
I also am excited. I love your enthusiasm, dude. The NFL is more popular, and when the Cavs are in a deep playoff run, it feels different. There's something special about all our sports teams. Football's king, but baseball in your hometown in October is unlike anything in sports. It was 64 degrees and crisp today. We got rain in the morning, but it was sunny in the afternoon, and it smells like fall with the leaves. I was just like, yeah, man, we're about to get Guardians baseball. And oddly enough, the AFC North may not be as good as we thought. TBD on that. But how about the AL Central? The Royals swept the Orioles. The Tigers swept the Astros, and the Guardians had a first-round bye. Half of our division is going to be in the ALDS round.
Yeah, I was remembering it was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. It was March, April. There was a division being told to me that it was the worst in baseball.
Yeah, I thought
somehow, some way, they have all but 2 made it to this point in the MLB season, postseason, that is. So I'm really excited to see what happens there. I hate the Royals, but I hate the Yankees more, and I'd rather play the Royals. So
yeah, man.
As I'm watching everything formulate, I'm ready for some playoff baseball. I've been paying hard attention to that Astros-Tigers series. Like, I was watching it. They had it on at the gym earlier. I'm like repping out my sets, watching the game because I want to know who we're playing. I got to see that home run when they went up 1-0 while I was at the gym, which was super dope. But we could talk baseball forever. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to sit down, watch a game on Saturday, have a few beers, and enjoy some October playoff baseball. But I want to get us on topic. I want to get us talking about the topics we have slated out today. And I want to start, even though Eric's not here because he backstabbed us and betrayed us and threw us under the bus. No, he's just had too many things going on work-wise and personal-wise this week. I want to talk 30-second takes. my favorite segment to run here on the channel. And, you know, even though I was talking about it with Matt earlier this week, I'm still wondering, John, what are your thoughts on the Browns thus far in the 2024 season? I'm going to put the flare up. I'm going to put the clock on when you tell me you are ready.
All right, you can put the clock on up. Don't mute me just in case. Give me half of Eric's time, but
Hold on. We'll start the clock from the top. I'll shave off the half of Eric's time comment. Ready? Go.
Big disappointment overall. Small disappointment from where I thought. When you look at the roster, you're thinking this could be a Super Bowl contender. We talked about the high road and the things that could happen if things go perfectly. But we also talked about how things could go with me. I was called a killjoy in a rain cloud. But I was like, we got questions at running back and quarterback that are really big. And I think without Nick Chubb and an answer quarterback, we're struggling a bit. So way off of what they could be with the talent, but only maybe one.
I had to mute you. I had to mute you just for the principle, but I actually want to hear what you had to say. Continue.
No, it's they're way off of what they could be like 4-0 and tearing shit up. But I thought they would be 500-ish through this part of the schedule and that they'd finish with 8 wins. They're kind of on pace for that. I don't know, man. They're just not that great because we don't get good quarterback play. We don't have a run game.
I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to throw myself on the clock. I was really negative on my Monday show, as I am. It's the Monday after losing a game that you should win, probably. At least you feel like you should win as a fan. I'm now looking towards this week, right? We're playing a fantastic rookie quarterback. I still think there's gas left in this team somewhere. It's early in the season to hang our heads and be like, oh, we're completely done at this point. I'm not there yet. We're hovering, and I know I'm about to go over the time, so I'm just going to shut up for a second and continue my take. So
it's good to be host.
Right. No, I muted myself. I gave myself the credit for going over, but just since we're talking about it real quick, I think there's still a chance that there's some juice left. We have Njoku practicing this week. We have Chubb practicing this week. That doesn't mean they're a guarantee to play against Washington, but those are two huge parts of what this offense does, that if we get those back, even with the piss poor function of the old line that we have right now, it's something to add to the arsenal on the offense. So I'm giving it some more time before I start completely pressing every panic button and calling up Quinn Ewers or Beck or Shadur or whoever and say we want to sign them or trade them or draft for them or whatever. But I'm just taking a deep breath for now because 1-3 is comebackable. We've seen it before from a lot of other franchises in arguably worse roster shape than we are right now.
Yeah, there's a Manning at Texas who probably is going to be pretty good in a year or two too. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I said going into the Cowboys game, this has Browns disappoint Cleveland, lose the opener 38-10 written all over it, and it kind of was that.
It was 33-10, I think, right?
Yeah. I feel the opposite about this game. Plucky upstart Washington team comes in full of confidence with a rookie quarterback. Everybody in Cleveland's waiting for another disappointment. Nick Chubb comes back, runs for 152 tutties, and we win 28-24. I don't know if I go as far as like picking them or putting money on them, but in the same way that I kind of thought the Cowboys game was set up for failure no matter what we did, I feel like this is one of those on the road counting us out, but any given Sunday in the NFL, like, it's 24-22 at the end of the third quarter. Remember, you heard it here first. This isn't going to be a blowout just because the quarterback's playing well. I think our defense has something to prove. And if we get either Njoku or Chubb back, big boost and shot in the arm. If we get both of them back, look out, Washington.
Yeah, I was going to add real quick, and then we can move on. I don't want to beat the dead horse because I've given some of these takes already. But, you see rookie quarterbacks, regardless of how good they're playing, go up against the stout defense. And I know our defense hasn't played up to the standard, right, of what we expect them to be, but they are still a name brand defense, in my opinion, in this NFL, in this modern day, in this current league. So to me, a Jalen Daniels going up against a guy like a Myles Garrett for the first time might not really, but have him figuratively shaking in his boots a little bit, plays a little bit worse. We see a game that we've been waiting to see out of this team for 4 weeks now, and we move on from there. And I could also see us going out there and laying another egg and going down to 1-4, and all of us are freaking out on Twitter on Sunday night again. It's just where I'm at right now. I personally am not betting on the Browns until they win another game. Normally I'll at least take a touchdown prop or something, but I'm not even touching it this week. I don't even care.
Last thing I will say, though, too, is when rookie quarterbacks play really well, there's 2 big hurdles in my mind. 3. The first one is the first game. Do you shit the bed or play well? No. Okay. Yeah, we're past that. Another one is the sophomore slump. If you did it for a season, can you do it for a second season? The one that's in between is around week 4, 5, 6, depending on like buys and who you play in and out of your division and conference. But there's tape on this kid now. There's no more, we caught us by surprise. We know he could do that. Like, Browns are going to be able to key in on this dude for 7 days with a good coordinator and a lot of talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he played well, but threw some crazy picks because we just schemed it up and confused the kid because he's a rookie quarterback. So look for that too.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's move on from Browns because I want to go to some of our broader office-based topics. This is a tried and true office show. We removed one topic. We're only doing 2 today, 2 real topics, even though we went on the Browns for 10 minutes or whatever and got excited about the Guardians along the way. But I want to go through top 3 moments in Cleveland sports history. We've been on some negative vibes, as you can see. We just talked about it with the Cleveland Browns. Let's have some happy memories brought up for us, as Cleveland sports fans. So, John, I want to hear your number 3. If you did you do a list?
Yeah, I got a list. I had a hard time ranking them. I have a clear number 1. It's obvious, so I'll start with the Cavs winning a title. We haven't had one in my lifetime, so that was huge. We've talked about it before. I don't want to beat that one up too badly because the other 2 are interesting. I always say, like, Rajay Davis was like one of the greatest sports moments. When he hit that home run against the Cubs in the World Series, I thought we were going to like win the whole damn thing. Pure elation, just joy and pure fandom coming out. LeBron James coming home to Cleveland after he left. Was unbelievable. I think even more, not even more than the championship, but maybe even number 2, the championship, if I could say the Cavs twice with LeBron. Even if they didn't beat the Warriors in that one year, 2016, the letter, the Sports Illustrated, that nobody really saw it coming, even though we kind of heard some rumors. And then everybody's at the office one day and they're like, holy shit, check out ESPN. LeBron's coming back to Cleveland.
Right.
And chaos ensued, and it didn't stop for that whole season.
Wait, real quick, did you say at the office?
Yeah, I was at the office.
You know what I was doing when LeBron came home?
4th grade,
middle school. Give me some credit. And it was summer, so I was doing absolutely nothing productive.
Oh my God, no one's running the street. No, it was a big day. One of our cousins was in town. And my dad was meeting him for lunch, and we came down. And we just talked about it the whole time. But I think LeBron coming back is probably number 2. Now, the reason I'm hesitating is because now I got to go way back in the Wayback Time Machine. My love affair with baseball started with the 90s Indians. When they moved from municipal, me and my dad used to go all the time because tickets were damn near free, and you could sit in a 80,000 person stadium with 75,000 empty seats and watch an awful team not make the playoffs for like 40 years.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we open a new stadium. Bill Clinton throws out the first pitch and we win like 100 games and everybody on our roster is good. And that started a 7-year stretch that was wild. Making the first World Series, making the next World Series, winning the division by 30 games and clinching in July or something one year. I mean, that was a really fun run, but it's not really a moment. It's like a decade. It was a hell of a decade. There was a lot of fun. Omar Vizquel, Robbie Alomar, Kenny Lofton. Don't call him Joey Albert Bell. That was a lot of fun too. But then the other one that comes to town is the Browns coming back, right? I remember when they left. I remember when they came back. That's a really big one. I just threw a bunch out. I can't pick, dude. I guess
that's fair.
I mean, the Browns coming back to Cleveland was huge, but they were so bad for so long. It was like exciting. And then we were all glad to have football back. And they were like, okay, so we sort of kind of don't have football back. We just have a team out there on Sunday.
That video of who is the celebrity, I forget his name, slipping my mind right now, that was like, Cleveland football's back. That video gives me goosebumps, and I wasn't even alive.
Yeah, there was a clock in Tower City that counted down time until the next Browns home game. And they turned on the clock in like 1996, and the team wouldn't be back till 99.
Was that when Tower City actually still had 1 million stores in it and all that too?
Yeah, I mean, it was on the decline, but it was better than it is now.
I remember going when I was younger, and it was still a worthwhile experience. And I'm not dissing any of the mom and pop stores in there, because there's a cool sneaker store and some other stuff in there now. But from it being the mega mall and like a central destination to what it is now, I wish they brought that back one day.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the topics I was thinking about, and maybe we can do this with Eric. Name 3 things that you would do to improve the city of Cleveland. And do like an infrastructure, loosely sports-based one. So maybe that's a teaser for another episode, but that was one of the ones that was going to be on my list, is invest some money into making Tower City and Public Square, a bigger, centraler destination than it already is, or kind of already is. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's all kinds of cool shit from back in the day. I remember I'm in Lakewood. There used to be streetcars that like ran down the middle of Detroit all the way into downtown. And I was like, okay, I don't know how many people would actually use it, but if you had like the San Francisco cable cars like running through Lakewood, that would be pretty dope.
I would personally love it to not have to pay for an Uber if I wanted to go to like some Lakewood bars on a Saturday night. You know what I mean, though? Yeah. Like I've lived in Cleveland for almost a year and a half now, and I've yet to actually spend a night out with friends in like Lakewood. And some of those bars are really popular with people my age. Not to get completely off tangent, but it's just interesting to me. That would be something I would love too. Let's get back on track. Well, I think we have seen that this should be a topic now. So we'll table that for time, right?
Yeah, pass the test. So I'll just to answer the question, then I'll go Cavs championship, LeBron comes home, Browns come back, with a really strong shout out to the fact that I could give the Indians/Guardians about 15 individual moments throughout my lifetime.
Well, I'm going to list my 3, and then I'm going to tell you what you think. I want you to tell me what you think the theme of my list is for top 3 moments in Cleveland.
My God. Joe Thomas's streak.
No. Let me go.
All right, go ahead.
Moment number 3, 1997 World Series. Moment number 2, 1988 AFC Championship. Moment number 1, 1987 AFC Championship.
Heartbreak is the key. I don't know what your theme is, but man, oh man, I was alive for all of those and remember 2 of them. You are killing me.
Yeah, so I decided, because Eric's not here and I knew you were going to have the happy moments, I was going to go the pessimistic route with my list and then actually get a list. So number 3 is Joe Mesa's blown save. Number 2 is the fumble, and number 1 is the drive. And I laugh now. Obviously, it's heartbreak then, so maybe I should turn my laugh down. But the laugh is the setting you up for all of this.
The drive, I don't remember. I think I was 2 or 3. But I've seen it. And you kick the ball off to John Elway. He goes 98 yards. It's like, okay, it was a great drive. But if some of the other stuff doesn't happen, people just go, hey, the Browns lost that game. It's a normal way to lose a game. You kick the ball away. Somebody has a couple minutes. They go down the field and score. Missed the extra point that was called good. Go watch that. That's something people don't talk about very often. But
I remember that too. I've watched all of these games as a Cleveland sports nerd in my time now, where I've watched these games front to back.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. But they, I remember my dad, I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5. The fumble was, God, and Ernest Biner and his redemption story. I mean, that one still kills. Just literally just take the ball, walk over the goal line. We're going to the Super Bowl. And I still see clips of it and think for a second, like maybe he doesn't fumble this time. right? Like
Right.
maybe it was all a bad dream.
Maybe I'm just like forgetting. I get you.
Oh,
Can I give you my real list now, though? I just wanted to see
man, I
the
thought you were
reaction and the
serious.
setup for the pessimism, right?
97 was bad too. They put champagne in our locker room and took it out.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I wasn't there, but I've heard that story before. I shouldn't say I remember that story.
Yeah.
So
all right,
number three,
what's your real one?
Number 3 for me. I think this gets a little bit too much hype in the Cleveland sports world in general at this point, but to me, it's still a big moment for. I'll give my background in a second. Number 3, Browns beat the Steelers in the AFC Wild Card 2021 for the 2020 season. Reason it's a big moment for me. I went with two of mine are when I was alive. Shocker. Number 1 is the Cavs winning the championship, but I want to hash out some stories with you before we go to break. The reason I include the Browns beat the Steelers in the AFC Wild Card is because of where I grew up. So I grew up in Ashtabula County, northeast of Northeast Ohio, which is very close to the PA border. There's a lot of overlap between Browns and Steelers fans. It's majority Browns still, but there is an overlap of Browns and Steelers fans. And for years and years of talking about Ben Roethlisberger and I know this wasn't the steel curtain, but the steel curtain and the black and yellow and the Browns suck, to have that moment and to watch Big Ben Roethlisberger sit and cry on that bench while I'm drinking with my mom, her friends, my friends, and we're celebrating the Browns' first playoff win in so many years. That's one of the top moments in my mind personally. I took this in a personal route for most of it. The second one, because I couldn't really think of anything, obviously the Indians at the time, the Guardians making the World Series, that whole playoff run with LeBron and Kyrie and Love could be in there. Number 2, because I'm a football junkie, I had to put the Cleveland Browns 1964 championship. It was the last championship before the Super Bowl era. Jim Brown was part of the team. It's a big moment. They talk about it still in certain media takes and stuff to this day. Obviously, we use it as our crutch of, we've won a championship before, even though it isn't a Super Bowl. I put it on there kind of to get the laugh out of you, but because it is important. It's a part of one of the most storied franchises in NFL history. This is, their big hang their hat on thing until maybe one day, you know what I mean? Until maybe one day we get that championship.
Yeah.
One, of course, Cavs beat the Golden State Warriors Game 7. I was downtown for that. It was a fantastic moment. I'm literally getting chills right now thinking of them dropping the confetti. I still have the confetti from inside the queue. Game 7 watch party somewhere. It's in a tote somewhere in my parents' house. It's somewhere. But
yeah, I have my confetti from the parade. I'm right there with you.
I have confetti parade confetti as well. I was at that parade. We camped out that parade. I think we got there at 6:30 in the morning to be front row for the parade.
I got my family up at about 6. We were in Berea. I think we got down there at 7:30.
Yeah.
When we got there was one row of people, 2 rows of people maybe, and we were in the front. And I just remember the crowd that kept coming in. We had kids. Like I had my Julia at the time was little. I had her on my back, and it just what a day. Perfect weather.
You want to hear a fun story about that real quick, and then we'll cut to break. That has nothing as much to do with it.
Yeah.
So we go camp out this parade, right? We do the whole thing. We're out there. It was a hot day, I remember, because I was sunburnt, right? Go through the whole thing. I actually had a football camp at your alma mater that day as well. So I woke up early, went through the whole parade, got burnt to all hell, and then had to go try to perform as a sophomore with a bunch of upperclassmen, offensive linemen, and defensive linemen. It was exhausting, to say the least.
Yeah, drinking Gatorade that day. You brought up a good point, though. I didn't think about it this way because I thought my lifetime, and I guess the question didn't say that, but I always talk about how Cleveland, like at the turn of the century, was the big city. Like my wife's grandmother lived in Pittsburgh. She came to Cleveland on her honeymoon because Terminal Tower and Cleveland was like the place to be if you weren't going to New York, maybe Chicago, but we were kind of almost peers. A lot of history here with sports and just like Jackie Robinson gets a ton of credit, rightfully so. He's one of my favorite Americans of all time, let alone baseball players. But he broke the color barrier in the National League. Larry Doby broke it in the American League like a week later, I want to say, and faced the exact same stuff that Jackie Robinson did just a few weeks later that he signed. First black manager in Frank Robinson, 47 Indians, a lot of ancient history, seemingly so now because it was so long there for a while that they were no good. But the Browns, too, with Jim Brown, and then he was connected with like Muhammad Ali, and Lou Alcindor became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like there was a buzz, man. There's a lot going on in Cleveland sports, like from the 20s to the 50s. I know you threw the ancient stuff in there, joking, not joking. It is a big moment, but yeah, up until like 1960, like so many things happened here, and then it was really bad for a really long time, unless you were a Browns fan.
Yeah, I'm curious, when you're in the nursing home, I'm in my 60s, 70s, whatever we want to put that at. And I'm throwing a dig, but seriously for a second, I'm curious what what people will think of the 2016 Cavs championship then.
Well, a lot depends. If we don't win anything until then, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like me talking to my dad about the Browns winning the championship before there was a Super Bowl. Like black and white pictures. I mean, it might as well have been, the War of 1812. Like it's so far back, like nothing is the same.
Yeah, I'm curious, though, just because of like how big the industry of sports is and stuff like that now. And like LeBron James is such a prominent figure, as was MJ and all of that in his time. Like you still think of the 6 rings thing. I just curious, and maybe that's another conversation for another day. Do you think these sports moments from our time, my youth, your, 20s, I would assume, right? You were in your 20s when the Cavs won.
16, yes, late 20s, I think.
Yeah, your 20s. Like, I'm curious what that will look like with how big sports is now and continues to grow. John, I'm going to cut us a commercial break. Go ahead.
Oh, just last 2 quick things. I'll be brief because I know you want to get us to break. It was crazy too because it was like Father's Day, and I was with my girls and talked to my dad, and like that just added another layer to it for Cleveland sports fan.
You're talking about the championship, right?
Correct. That makes it so different. Just, I don't know, it was wild. And out of respect for you, Mr. The Buckeyes are great, but they're not a Cleveland sports team. The Buckeyes winning the 2002-2003 national championship is definitely one of my top 3, and I didn't put it in just because I know you always say the Buckeyes aren't a Cleveland team. So
you know what I was going to do when I sent you over the script and the outline? I was going to say, no, John, the Ohio State Buckeyes do not count for this list. Because I could have said the national championship too, because that was a big time for me. Urban Meyer played, football with my uncle. I talked about that on our after show. Yeah. Check that out if you want to see us just talk and kind of be relaxed.
I feel like beating Alabama was almost a bigger game than beating Oregon and actually winning the thing.
Oh, 100%. I was more nervous. I remember I was watching with some friends and people were like falling asleep because it was so boring in the Oregon game. Anyway, we could go forever. I want to get us to commercial break. I want to move us along. We'll be right back with At the Office, East Bank Sports Show, right after these commercial messages. And we are back with the East Bank Sports Show at the Office edition. Please, 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 if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube at East Bank Sports Show. Helps us grow the brand a ton. Thank you for tuning in live, whether you're watching on X, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure you hop in those comments too. It helps us, continue to facilitate, have the conversation with some of the other fans in our community. We love talking to you, and when you get the opportunity to talk to us, we aren't shy. We'll throw your comment up. We'll talk back at you. We do not care. But John, this was a topic you proposed for us to do when we were coming up with some new topics because we were getting dry. Some behind the scenes stuff real quick. We were getting dry. I was starting to run on fumes, and I asked John and Eric, rest in peace, Eric. Just kidding. Eric's still okay, like I said. To give me some ideas, some extra things to put together for a show. Both of these were actually on John's list, so I want to give you credit for that, first of all. The second one, though, is interesting to me. And maybe it's interesting to me because I'm going through all the motions of getting back into working for the Cavs, doing my part-time gig that I did with them last season. For those who have been watching for that long or know me personally and know all of the hats that I wear in a weekly basis. Sports betting in Ohio. The good, the bad, and the future. That's the name of the topic. I kind of want to keep this free form. Real quick, to give background, we are both sports bettors, correct? You still sports bet pretty often, right?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of money incrementally on per bet, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
Highly
having
active,
fun
low
with it,
denominator.
not putting
Yeah.
the mortgage on it, of course.
Right. 20
I'm
to
not
50
saying-
bucks a weekend if I don't have other stuff going on.
Right. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this, man.
Yeah. So for me, I love it. A lot of the detractors say things like, oh, you're going to have degenerate people who have a problem and who are addicted, yada, yada. And the first thing I would say is, yes, addiction is real. We should help people when they're addicted to all kinds of things as much as we can. But if you're a gambling addict, it being legal now in Ohio didn't change anything for you. I know that a lot of people, you could always gamble someplace, somewhere. You can find somebody to take your money and give you some odds. So I'm not as worried about, like, people thought, oh, well, with the phone and stuff. Overall, I think it's been good. It works well. The platforms work well. It gives you a rooting interest. It's fun. You can track bets with your friends. It gives you something to talk about. As long as you keep it in check, like, I just think it adds something to the whole sports experience. It's kind of like the same thing as fantasy football did for the NFL. Now you can just bet on so many more things as opposed to waiting till the end of the season to get a payout.
Next level, yeah.
I think it's great. The only negative and downside that I kind of see is, like, nationally in terms of the athletes' relationships. So growing up, and this was true too, like, everybody had a guy who took bets before. Like, even for me, like, I think the statute is expired. If not, maybe I'm in trouble. But, you weren't in for like $1,000 per game across 30 games or anything. But everybody knew a guy at work or that you were a drinking buddy who.
A bookie, yeah.
Yeah, he put your stuff in for you. The only negative that I see is that I grew up in an era where, like, I told you my mom's from Cincy, so Pete Rose was like a big deal. And when he didn't bet, I did bet. I wrote a book about it on baseball.
Real quick, Tim, we did miss you. I'm glad you are in the chat now, as always.
Yay, appreciate
Pleasure to have you here. Eric ditched us again, just so you know. So me and John decided, screw it. We're doing our own full-blown show with topics, complete structure, and having a good time with it. Make sure you check out the first half, my friend. Continue on, John. Sorry.
Good to be with you, Tim. No, it's it blurs the lines of acceptability and being able to track it. The one negative byproduct is I keep seeing stories pop up about, like, the Yale softball team all getting popped for betting on college softball, or sometimes it's obscure, sometimes it's not. And I always, for a long time, I held that you have to pay referees more because they can control the game. And if you can influence them with money, then you're not paying them enough. And it exposes you to the risk that they might go, I don't want $180,000 to be a basketball ref. I want $7 million. So I'm going to go do this illegal thing.
Right.
NIL helps, but college athletes still on the whole don't make a ton of money. And if you're the Florida State offensive line and don't have anything to play for, would I throw a game against Florida International? Like, personally, no, but I could see how easy it is now for betting to be a pressure. Or just take a bunch of NIL money, bet on the game yourself, and then you control the outcome. Like, I don't think this is a mass pandemic, so to speak. I don't think we're going to see every kid at every school betting on games in their own sport, but it does make it easier for the athletes that we watch to throw games to get paid for it.
Yeah, so my thought process with this is kind of twofold, right? I agree with everything you've said. So that's why I kind of let you ramble for a second. And I'm not saying you rambled as a dig. I let you make the take because I don't want to have to repeat myself. I think, in general, my thought process is anything within reason that people could have access to anyway should be legal. I say within reason, so don't take that out of context.
No, I get it.
there's been a point in time for a while now where people were very easily accessing offshore, casinos with sports books on them and being able to sports bet that way, basically, and different things. So anything that, puts some of these dollars in the American pocket, into our, tax money, into our programs, everything that's gone on with, sports betting, there's a charity aspect of it as well. I pulled this earlier. A portion of the revenue from sports betting is earmarked for problem gambling programs and stuff like that. So basically, they're putting money back into, helping to at least kind of mend some of the problems that it can create. Now, is that a foolproof pat on the back? You're good? No, but there's a charitable aspect to it, at least, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
My question to you.
You know what? Super quick comment on that before you ask that question.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a funny story. I was not raised Catholic, and my wife was. And I remember all this holier than thou, and you shouldn't be doing this. I went to a parish, Catholic church parish, casino night, where you could bet on everything under the sun, pretty much, that you could bet on at a casino. And there were people playing bingo and smoking indoors and like chugging beers. And I'm like, where has this been all my life? I should have been Catholic because this is all I have to do. This is way more my speed. But B, like, stop with it. Don't bet on the Browns on Sunday. You got a lady in the basement burning through her Social Security check on bingo cards.
Right. No, I mean, I grew up Catholic.
Paul Malls. Yeah. Anyway, what's your question?
No, I grew up Catholic, so I can attest to a lot of the things you're saying right now. The cardboard crack, the pull tabs.
Pull tab. I still do pull tabs.
I think I'm cool to say this. I grew up on pull tabs, man. That was my thing.
Great.
Yeah.
I went out with 4 of my buddies and our wives, and there were like 8 or 9 of us. And there was a pull tab machine, and we all started throw. 450 pull tabs in 8 minutes and didn't win a thing. Like, at $1 a piece. I mean, we had a big enough group that it wasn't like I spent $400 on it, but I, probably spent 70.
Right.
Love a good pull tab though.
Real quick, want to shout out Tim Lyons as well. Check out Running Through the Jungle, Pay and Be Dirt, covering gambling on the weekend games, college and NFL. Running Through the Jungle is the Bengals affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network, who help us do what we do over here. So I just wanted to give that shout out as well. And Tim also says 75% of us grew up Catholic in Ohio, and that is probably true. At least, my generation and down, or my age and down. I shouldn't say my generation, because that group's a lot more people in there.
And to Tim's point too, like 30% of people are Catholic, but then everybody knew a guy who went to Feast of the Assumption, or every girl knew a girl who went to casino night. So yeah, like even if you weren't Catholic, you were Catholic on the days that it counted.
Well, I am tried and true Catholic school education. Anywho, I want to get back to my question.
Yeah.
So I thought this was really interesting, and this is public knowledge, so I'm not afraid to bring this up. So how all of the stadiums, well, most of the stadiums, most professional stadiums in states with legal gambling were given sports books in their arena, right?
Yeah. I didn't know the fact, but I've seen them. So it makes sense.
You know what I mean? I mean, the Guardians have one, the Cavs have one, a lot. I think Paycor has one. I think Great American might have one now. I'm just thinking Ohio off the top of my head.
Yep.
That being said, and I guess I should say professional as well, because none of the Ohio State stadiums have them, and I think that makes more sense. Regardless, did you know 2 years after launch, well, I think this is the 3rd season after launch, they are already closing the Caesars Sportsbook in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse because it has been not profitable because everybody just uses their cell phone? Does that surprise you? Do you think there was a lot of wasted money trying to jump at that opportunity? Because I never saw the appeal of walking into a sports book when I could open up my phone while I'm sitting there, place a live bet if I'm feeling real lucky on a home run or something like that, and continue to sip my beer, eat my hot dog, or drink my soda and watch the game. What do you think about all that?
It doesn't surprise me. If you would have told me 4 years ago, it would have surprised me. But the last few times I've been in there, like the only place in Romo Fijo that's not jumping during a Cavs game is the damn sports book. It's the same thing. We always go to a Penguins game with some of my wife's family or our cousin every year, and Three Rivers Casino, like PPG Arena is awesome. Because it's a hockey team and we don't have one, I feel okay saying I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, so that's why I go once a year. Amazing experience, and the sports book is always dead, and like as a doornail. I don't know. It's weird, but I don't know why. Yes, they jump too fast at the opportunity, because why would anybody do anything in real life if you have an app that can do it? Now, other stuff I'm not talking about. Like, I don't want to get too far off track. I saw something this morning that said dating apps are dead, and all these 20-somethings who are single are meeting in real life in these pods of like 5,000 people, and they love it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that's different. But like with sports betting, like I'm not waking up on Saturday to watch the Buckeyes and going downtown to buy a real ticket. Like,
and that's right. And then you have to go back to cash it in when really all you have to do is press 2 buttons and it's already back on your debit card or in your bank account if you win the money.
Yep.
I've never really vocalized it, but I've always thought it made not a lot of sense, for sports books to have these brick and mortars like that. Now, if there was a promotional opportunity or they use it as a brick and mortar to get people to, like, say, download the app and then come in and maybe you get a reward, like a bonus bet for stopping in the casino and buying a drink, or the sports book, I shouldn't say casino, and buying a drink or watching a game on a, like, I think there's better ways they could have worked that, but I've never stepped foot in the Fanatics sports book and Progressive Field.
Yeah. I've never been in any of them.
I walked into Caesar Sportsbook right when sports betting opened, just because I could, really was the only reason. I had no interest in going to the kiosk and placing a bet because I had FanDuel or whatever on my phone with all the bonus bets from the start of the year already.
Yep.
No interest in any of that. It's just interesting to me, all the money that they've poured it into and where it's really working and not. I think you could have kind of seen it in a mile away, but what are you going to do at this point?
There's not a lot you can do. I think not to tell people like Dan Gilbert who have billions of dollars how to run their business, but you do see it sometimes with stuff that goes belly up. There's one or two things that happens a lot. One, you try to expand too fast. That wasn't the case. Oh, that's part of the case here. But two, it's almost like they're trying to be like, keep one foot in each world. Either open a whole ass casino in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse that's open whether the Cavs are playing or not, and then keep it open so when people have, hey, it's March Madness. Would you rather sit at home or would you rather go to the sports book that's open at the queue and what? Now maybe
and hit the slot a couple times and play some. No, I agree with you.
Maybe play some craps, maybe play some roulette, and all of a sudden we're cooking. Or just get the hell out altogether and have one spot. Like they should be. I know they're competing brands, but like there should be one Cleveland sports book that's just big as shit with a ton of really comfortable chairs. That's one. I definitely don't need one at Rocket Mortgage and Progressive Field. I don't even understand why they did it.
Yeah. Now I have another question for you based off of this because I think it's interesting. What about the sports books that you see pop up in bars? Like I know, for example, there's one in Barley House downtown. There's one in not Wild Eagle, Harry Buffalo downtown. The kiosks there. What do you think of that kind of thing? I think it makes a little bit more sense because I believe you can cash out there on the spot and you're also at a sports bar where you're watching the game as opposed to having to walk from the game that you're watching to go to the sports book to place a bet, to walk back to your seat, to walk to the sports book, to leave the stadium because you're not allowed to walk back into the stadium once you enter the sports book after the games. I'm explaining the problem with it right now, basically.
Yeah.
But what do you think about those kiosks? I've also never placed a bet or tried to place a bet on one of those kiosks, but I see them everywhere, even in some of my childhood, family bar/restaurants in Ashtabula. I see them now.
Yeah, it's so I don't know if I'm lame or old or both, but I didn't know they had these little kiosks popping up. But those are, as long as it's either a kiosk, is it like a self-serve, like Ohio Lotto thing where you can just go over?
Yeah, same type of concept from what I understand.
I think it's genius because when people are out and drinking and hanging out, people who wouldn't otherwise gamble will do it. you're going to get the same crowd with a kiosk that the Keno machine gets. Like, I don't ever sit anywhere at home and go, I just want to play Keno. I can't wait to go play Keno. And then you're sitting at a bar, you have a couple beers, and you're like, you know what? I will put a $10 bill in for the next 10 games because this is something to do while I'm out, right? If you're at a bar and you're going to be there till 1 o'clock in the morning and it's 8 p.m. and it's the fourth inning of a baseball game, why not throw $10 on the Guardian? Like, you'll get a lot of people doing that.
I feel like that sentiment with the Keno machine, for example, is something that anybody who's ever, even dabbled in like scratch offs or something, like one time has just been like, yeah, I have a $10 bill. Why not? Right. Yep. So I think it hits that same demographic in a way that, maybe these apps don't, even with them offering, like free bets or bonus bets to start. Tim Lyon says 1 a.m. Who stays out that late? And I go to bed at 1 a.m. on a work night, my friends. So me, and that's sober me. That's not weekend me or, work outing, out at a bar or something me. This is sober me staying up till 1 a.m. willingly. Back to the topic though. Tim says I'm too old for that.
Anyway, I've done it and I pay for it. It used to burn off clean. When I was Noah's age, you do whatever you want. Stay out till 3, get up at 6:30 for work, brush your teeth, get a Mickey D's meal on the way to work. Fine.
The story I could tell of throwing and hosting a party in my fraternity in college to waking up and having Sunday 3-hour practice spring ball football. The stories I could tell, my friend, but I'm not going to put that one on record. What else are you thinking? I want to know, do you think sports betting is a net negative, net positive, net neutral for the state of Ohio? Let's stay Ohio focused.
I think it's net neutral to slightly positive.
I'm with you.
There's some negative. I mean, people like tisk. It's a, bad habit or kind of thing. And yeah, like I said, if you develop a habit, that's not good. And you should get help. And we should feel for these people and help them get help when they need the help.
Right.
But like you say the same thing about alcohol, it's not illegal. You say the same thing about weed, it's not illegal in a lot of places anymore. So like,
it's not illegal here. All that matters. It's an Ohio-focused podcast, man. So it's not illegal here. We can say,
Yeah, people who want to do it. I kind of agree with what you said before. Like if it's in the United States and people want to do it, pretty much everything should be legal within reason. And if you don't want to partake, don't partake. It drives a shit ton of revenue. It drives enjoyment. It drives fun. It drives something to talk about. It's interesting. Like, I'm not going to say it's, great, but gambling in Ohio, like, puts kids in nicer schools and builds nice shit for people. Like, it's not like they're just taking the money and keeping it too. They tax some of the stuff. And I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole, but I'll say slightly past neutral to slightly positive. There are some negative side effects, but I like it.
Yeah, I think there's much more. I read Tim's comment. I'm not putting that one up on the screen.
Not put it up.
I laughed too.
That is excellent.
I think there are worse, habit forming things that are legal in this state that aren't, people who are putting down 10, 20, 30, even $100 sometimes. I've never put $100 bet down in my own money. Free bets, I will. I've never pulled $100 out of my account on a bet. But people who are playing sports betting for some side money, for some fun, for some conversation with sports, I don't think is a bad thing. Obviously, there's the risk of addiction, but in my opinion, there's worse things, more addictive things that are on the market. So to me, having something that can be a positive in terms of building cool shit, like you said, helping with, renovating schools, putting kids in schools, that kind of thing. I think this has been a long time coming, nationwide, and I'm happy that Ohio is one of the states to adapt it, along with some of the other legalities and things that are moving up in terms of being legal in the countrywide. Anything else you got on sports betting, or you want to move to final thoughts and takes?
No, we can go to final thoughts and takes. I mean, maybe I ask one last thing. It's we're lucky in Ohio. We talk about politics without talking politics on this show, and whether you're red or blue or pro this or pro that, Ohio's pretty much a purple state. There's a lot of Dems in power. There's a lot of Republicans in power, and on the whole, even though individual people might piss you off, like Ohio does a pretty good job at pretty much everything. Like, we're gonna do gambling, but not first, and we're gonna do it well, and we're gonna do it right. Like,
we're not going to be the guinea pig, but we'll do it as soon as we see what makes sense.
Right. Let's let New York and West Virginia fuck it up real bad, and then we'll swoop in and do things the right way, and everybody can go, "Yeah, there's Ohio again."
And we're getting more money in the pockets of things that need pockets. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you thoroughly on that.
Yeah.
Let's go final thoughts and takes, my man. I kind of said to do a Guardians focus on this because we didn't have a tried and true baseball segment, and I felt like that would be a disservice as Cleveland fans with all the baseball hype for October. Granted, we did talk about it at the top of the show, but I want to hear your final thought and take.
Buckle up. In the words of one of my favorite announcers, this can be another October to remember. Just special. I don't want to get into predictions. I don't want to ruin it. But I will say this. Every single time the Cleveland Indians / Cleveland Guardians make a run or do something fun, it's always been when we least expected it. Out of all the teams that we've had in my lifetime, the Cubs Indians World Series was so unexpected and came out. We had to beat like the Yankees and the rest. So I don't know who we're going to play. It would be kind of fun if we had to play, get through Detroit to play Kansas City in the ALCS to go to the World Series. It'd be a whole division thing, but I'm just glad to be there. I'm glad we got the bye. I'm excited because every pitch matters, and I love baseball anyway. And this just takes it to the next level. It's like a huge dopamine hit. My only regret about the whole thing is that they don't play till Saturday. I'm ready to go tomorrow night.
I am ready to watch baseball so bad. I have not been this juiced for Guardians baseball since, the first probably 20 swipes of my ballpark pass this summer because I just love going to live sports. But I'm with you. I'm getting the chills again, man, just thinking about the chance and the potential of making a run at this thing because playoff baseball is unpredictable. There's a lot of parity there. Who knows what happens? And I'm ready to see what Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan, Emmanuel Clase, Tanner Bybee, and co. can do when it matters most.
Yeah,
this isn't everybody's first time in the playoffs anymore. We've had a little bit of experience. We've had some fun in the playoffs. Maybe this is the year. I'm not saying it's the year. I could see you could see a million things happen in playoff baseball, but maybe this is the year.
Yeah. John, winning a playoff series in baseball is always hard to do, but if it shapes up that you got to beat the Tigers and the Royals to get to the World Series, there have been harder paths. We're familiar with these guys. We could take them, but the one thing I will say, I used to always argue with my brother-in-law about it. He'd be like, "Oh man, the Cavs lost the NBA Finals in 6 games, and I'm pissed off." And I'd be like, "I wanted to win the finals too, but don't forget to enjoy it. One day LeBron's going to be gone and retired, and one day the Cavs are going to suck, and I'm going to go back and be like, remember the 4 years in a row we went to the finals, and you told me how tired you were of losing to Golden State, and now we can't get by the Knicks in the second round, like." I hope we win the World Series this year. We could lose as quickly as 3 games. Whatever the ride is, just enjoy it because it is really hard to make the playoffs in baseball.
Yeah, I'm ready. As you said, buckle up. You basically said the same thing I was going to say. We've been very much on the synergy thing today, man. I don't know why.
Here to screw it up.
Yeah, right. Eric isn't here to stir the pot a little bit. I tried with my pessimism, best 3 moments in Cleveland sports history earlier or whatever, but even then it was a good laugh and move on. I'm with you, though. I'm ready for the ride. I'm ready to see what this team can do. I don't see why it couldn't be us. We've had, some slow patches. We're back to normal. We've been kind of in rhythm for some time again. I'm feeling good about it, man. I'm feeling good about just being able to watch some October baseball because it's a bright spot with all the stuff that's going on with our Brownies right now. And maybe they turn it around too. I had a thought today. Ohio State wins at 3:30. Guardians win earlier than that. I think they pitch at 1:05 on Saturday. And then we wake up and watch the Browns actually win a football game on Sunday. What a weekend for Ohio and Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, Cleveland sports. I would be ecstatic.
I'd take any 2 of those, bud.
Yeah, I'd take any one of them. I will gladly just take the Guardians. I know Ohio State.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's Ohio State even have?
It's Iowa this week, I
Iowa.
believe.
Actually, Are we on the road?
At Iowa. No, it's home. It's home. It's the
Okay.
first gray out game. The gray out
Iowa on the road, Purdue at night. There's a few Big Ten trap games that historically, Illinois at home. There's a few games where everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're going to win by 7 touchdowns or 8. And it's 24-24 with 8 minutes to play. You're like, how do we get to this point?
What happened, right? Tim says, and Bengals win against the Ravens. And I'll actually agree with this one only because I hate the Ravens that much.
Yep.
John, it's been a pleasure, man. I love
doing
doing this with you guys. Unfortunate Eric wasn't here because I think this was a really fun one. Anything else you got to say to the people before I wrap this thing up?
Love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to talk sports with you on this fine Wednesday night. Please hit that download button if you're listening on your favorite podcast channel. Please hit the subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Helps us grow the channel, grow the brand of the East Bank Sports Show and At the Office. Both shows are on the same YouTube channel. And until next time, Cleveland, make sure you go out, enjoy some playoff baseball. Don't let the Browns ruin your mood because you never know what can happen. There's still a lot of season left. I'm past being the pessimistic Browns fan until Sunday at the very least. But until next time, Cleveland, it's been fun, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your week.